Today is National Energy Conservation Day. To commemorate this day, the Puducherry Council for Science and Technology is organizing technical webinar on energy conservation, the need of the hour. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Sir, please join in this platform, sir. Google Meet. Okay. Okay. On behalf of our director, come secretary, Madam Smita IAS, I welcome all the participants to today's webinar. I welcome our Senior Scientific Officer, Dr. Saga Alfred, who will be delivering the keynote address today's. And it's my privilege to welcome today's resource person, Dr. Y. Tyagarajan, R&D Head, come Associate Professor, Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Christ College of Engineering and Technology, Puducherry. Welcome, sir. And I thank you for accepting our invitation for today's webinar. I also welcome all my colleagues. I request all the participants to mute your audio and video. I once again welcome everybody. I request our Senior Scientific Officer to deliver the keynote address, please.
Happy morning to all of you, to all the participants who are in this webinar through this platform today, who joined today, and also the expert. At the first instance, I would like to thank the Secretary, come Director of the Department of Science, Technology and Environment, Madam Smita IAS, for offering me this opportunity to give the keynote address. Thank you, Madam. And Puducherry Council for Science and Technology is organizing various seminars through webinar series. And we all are aware that today is a very important day, being the National Energy Conservation Day that falls on 14th of December 2021. The Energy Conservation Act in India is executed by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency since the year 2001. We shortly call it as Bureau of Energy Efficiency. And this National Energy Conservation Day showcases India's exemplary milestones in the energy saving and the holistic development strategies which we have for the future. And on this occasion, Puducherry Council for Science and Technology is proud to organize this webinar to create awareness among the public students to depict the importance of the National Conservation Day. And we have selected energy conservation, the need of the hour, as the topic for today. And if you see, this day is formed by the Union Ministry of Power, the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, which has led to the celebrations of National Energy Conservation Day each year since 1991. The Union government has formed a constitutional body, the B, which assists in the development and implementation of various strategies and policies to reduce excessive consumption of energy. This committee also executed the Energy Conservation Act in 2001. There are various campaigns, awareness, awards distributed on this day in 56 sectors of the country to recognize the achievements in the energy efficiency. And this day should also commend the efforts of the industry, institutions, and various establishments, ranging from power plants to hotels to shopping malls. And not only that, even I will say, even each and every house, each and every office. Various prizes are also awarded to the winners of the national painting competitions, which centers on the theme of energy conservation being carried out by the Union government. And India's development sectors, we should feel proud. They are flourishing, which leads to an increase in the demand for energy. It is expected that India's resource requirement will double by the year 2030. Hence, we have to make various strategies and development policies that will help to decrease this demand and the force that we are giving on the energy sector by efficient conservation measures. And if you see the objectives of this National Energy Conservation Day, this day makes people aware of global warming, climate change, and promotes efforts towards saving energy resources. The prime aspect of celebrating this day is to conserve energy in each and every step of our life and to promote people for less energy usage by neglecting the excessive and wasteful uses. Some simple examples what we can do not only today but throughout our lifetime. Anything from unplugging appliances when not in use, switching off extra lights, or even after the office hours, fans in your room. Utilizing the common transport facility instead of using or driving our own vehicle. Certainly, conservation of energy undoubtedly leads to a very quality life for the human beings. And we have Dr. Y. Dyagarajan, who is heading the research and development, and also the associate professor, Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering from Christ College of Engineering and Technology, Puducherry. Sir, we thank you for graciously accepting our invitation immediately and be with us for the next 1 hour to deliver your expert lecture and also to share your knowledge and experience on the energy conservation, the need of the hour. And thank you for the opportunity provided. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Tyagarajan to deliver the expert lecture.
So, good morning, everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible to you all?
Please, somebody respond. Okay, sir. Audible, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, happy morning to everyone, the young and energetic minds of today and tomorrow's India. And as a part of energy conservation, the need of the hour, I'm here on behalf of Christ College of Engineering and Technology to share my thoughts about what is actually happening here and what is happening behind us. And first and foremost, I would like to thank the senior scientific officer as well the scientific officer and the staff members of DST for making me to be here on this auspicious occasion. So my sincere thanks to all. Coming back, so before diving deep into our today's session, my sincere request to all the participants to, next slide, to have a pledge for this particular day. Sir, with your permission, shall we? So, dear students and the participants, so kindly repeat along with me to take the pledge. So, keep your right hand towards your heart and let's start the Energy Conservation Day with a fruitfulness. Keeping those in mind, I'm going to take the pledge of the day. a proud citizen of India,
a proud citizen of India,
pledge today
pledge today
to tirelessly strive
tirelessly strive
in spreading the message of
in spreading the message of
energy conservation
energy conservation
in my home,
in my own
college,
college
and neighborhood,
and neighborhood,
not only by showing
not only by showing
and educating everyone
and educating everyone
on how to save
on how to save
precious energy,
precious energy,
but
but
by demonstrating
by demonstrating
energy conservation
energy conservation
at work.
at work.
I promise
I promise
to save
to save
and faithfully defend
and faithfully defend
investing
investing
nature resources
nature resources
of my country.
of my country.
We all stand together
We all stand together
to preserve
to preserve
our fragile
our fragile
planet
planet
and create
and create
a better world
a better world
for all of us
for all of us
and the generations
and the generations
to come.
to come.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Thank you so much for being with me, for taking the pledge of the day. So hope. Now let's dive into the today's topic. Next slide. So I'll start with the quote. It was very interesting quote, and the most needed quote of this hour. Every act of energy conservation is more than just common sense. I tell you, it is an act of patriotism. So Jimmy Carter is relating even the small energy conservation, which is the bigger source of our nature. It's one of the patriotism. So as an Indian citizen, the pledge which we have taken today comes into these two lines. So hoping to this, next slide. Today's topic of discussion will be the energy. What is energy? What are the types of energies are available? You are well aware about it. And why to conserve it? What can we do? And what is our role to go with the energy conservation? And what are all the things being done by Indian government regarding energy conservation? So, next slide. We have I'll show you a small video. Before slide, double click பண்ணுங்க sir. So just go into this video and see what is happening. Next slide. So, you have seen around 8 minutes of video. Guys, you can see that in each and every part, we are polluting our mother nature. So, if we are, or if we join hands and make many precautionary measures, we can able to reduce, and later on we can deplete it, and at last we can eradicate it. So now let's see the major things what you are aware about it, energy as well as power. Am I audible to you all? Okay, thank you. So you know what is the definition of energy? Energy is defined, it's a capacity, and the unit of energy is kilowatt hour, and for power it's energy per unit time. Next slide. So these are all the forms of energy, starting with heat and ending up with the nuclear energy. So among all these listed above here, around 5 are there. The electrical energy as well as the potential energy plays a vital role for energy production. And the first one takes the first part, heat. So without heat, nothing can be done. So now we are concentrating as well as focusing on the heat technological innovations in order to come up with new solutions for energy demands. Next slide. What are all the resources available? There are two types. One you called as a non-renewable and another one you called as a renewable energy resources. So as you know that non-renewable in the sense coal, oil, gas and nuclear. So you know about the coal as well oil and the gas, and all these four, the coal takes the vital part in order to generate the power. Next slide. And coming to the renewable energy, the most trending energy resource. One is hydro and another one, the other forms. And what are all the other forms which takes the renewable energy? It starts with small and hydro power plants and ending up with solar. And in between that, there is another two subcategories which are slightly known by the peoples, which is called as biopower. So biopower has been viewed in two major parts. One you called as a biomass and another one urban and industrial waste power. So you are aware about biomass production. Biomass in the sense just going with the cow dung with the help of a biodigester and then generation of gas. The gas will be a methane gas and then they'll be utilizing it for cooking purpose. And nowadays in the power plant for producing of energy they are going with. And urban and industrial waste products, what are they? The bagasse. And coming to urban waste which comes under the bagasse, and industrial waste which uses the sewages, the waste which comes from the paint industries, the cloth, the leather and so on. So these are all the divisions present in renewable energy resources. Next slide. So here I have shown you a comparison for the total power generation in India, which is taken from MNRE resource. It states that in the year of 2016, the total power generation was 28,98,000. And here in September 2021, it was around 3 megawatts. And the highlighted part shows that the coal, it starts increasing. The generation of power from the coal, it starts increasing. But when you look over to the percentage, in 2016 it was 54% occupied by only purely coal, and in 2021 you can see that the percentage has reduced slightly to 2%. But it is a great improvement in India, because which takes the major role. Slowly the RES comes into the part. So RES refers to the previous slide what I told you, all the things in couple takes the part, and in 2016 it was 11% and now it occupies 39%. So damn sure that within another 2050 or 2060, the RES will play a vital role in order to generate the power and also in order to utilize the power. Next slide. Even then, we have less resources for conventional energy, that is coal or oil. In the second point, what I have highlighted is we are making the record. Starting from 2014 to 19, there was an ample increase, 35 to 73, and sorry, 35 to 79. So it was a great change. So as per the Paris Agreement made by Indian government, so they are somehow or other accomplishing it in a very shorter time duration. And in the last point, what I mentioned is as 40% will be occupied by 2030 by renewable energy resources. But apart from this, in the first para, second line, I have highlighted with a red color marking stating that why we are lack of energy resources due to the two major issues. One is huge population and the rapid increasing of economy. So economy, you can take it as a development of industry sector or development of domestical sector. So whatever it is. So these two plays a vital role in India, and day by day it is increasing without unknown. Next slide. So the major part is being taken up by wind power. So wind power delivers major amount of energy in renewable energy sector. So next, followed with the power photovoltaic cell, which is the solar power. Next slide. So this is what the installed capacity. So you can see that in 2014, it was only 34, and now it has reached 79. So you can see that there is a drastic change. Next slide. And this is the occupancy of wind energy in 2014 as well in 2019. And India stands now in the 4th place, the major energy production through wind energy. But in 2014, so we are not competed with it, but we are there with solar photovoltaic cells. Next slide. So when you see this chart, I have plotted a chart here with the energy as well as the peak from 2019 and the 2020. In the 2009, you can see that there was minus 12.7, the last column, first point. Minus 12.7, there is a peak demand of energy. Even though we are generating power, we have a peak demand of minus 12.7. And at the last 2019 to 20, it has been reduced to minus 0.7. So somehow or other we are maintaining as well as we are coping with the peak energy demand. The next slide. So these are all the issues being there. So in one side, we are generating the power, and on the other side, we are just coping with the energy demand, the demand due to the power consumptions. So how to manage this? So to be frank and to be specific, I have taken only 2 points. There are n number of points can be taken to manage the power issues as well the environmental issues. But thing is that the first point, supply of energy has increased in the supply of energy. The second point is efficient use of energy as well conservation. So these two will cope up with the demand as well as the supply. But increasing the energy supply. Next slide, please. Increasing the energy supply. So it is not just like that. Within a 1 hour or within a 3 hours of time period, ஒரு சினிமா படத்துல பெரிய ஆள் ஆகிற மாதிரி நம்ம ஒரு சினிமா படத்துல ஒரு பவர் பிளான்ட்டை உருவாக்குறது கஷ்டம். அது இப்ப இருக்கிற நிலைமையில it is very difficult. Okay, so all these part, generation part as well transmission part as well as distribution part faces n number of difficulties in order to go for a new power plants or new erection of power plants. So what we have to do? We have to go for next slide, please. And this slide shows you that in how far the assumption reports shows the natural gas will be till 40 years as well as mentioned by US government, and the coal might be in contact with around 180 years and oil for 30 years. But the actual, what is the reality? Next slide, please. This is the reality. 114 years, the coal might be there. Natural gas might get depleted in 52 years and oil in 50 years of time period. So these are all the difficulties placed in the energy sector. And the scientists, the researchers and the innovators too are working a lot, shedding their tears, breaking their minds in order to go for an alternative source of energy. Next slide, please. And as I told you earlier, it's not a game, it's not a play to erect a power plant. Why? Because you can see there, in order to erect a power plant, the investment cost 3 to 5 crores for per megawatt, 1 megawatt of power generation. It needs 3 to 5 crores. But you can see that the construction time period, 3 to 5 years. Before construction of power plant, there should be a literature review. There will be a review stating about the ground, stating about the in and around the environment, stating about the pollution, transport, and the peoples living nearby. So these are all the things to be studied, and it takes 10 years. So as said earlier, coal is around, will get depleted slow by slow in 114 years, whereas oil in 50 years. So if these are being taken into account and started working over it, we cannot achieve it. Friends and my dear students, you can see in the last row, wind energy. So construction time is 1 to 2 years only, but the studying time, the survey time, it takes around minimum of 5 years. And then only you can able to make the construction plan, later on investment, and then go with the operating cost. So these are all very much tough. So what to do? So we have to switch over to the next, that point 2, conservation, and in an effective manner. And the one more thing is that we can exploit the natural resources, but depletion of natural resources should not be done. So that is the thing you have to focus on nowadays. Next slide, please. And one more thing is, which sector takes much energy consumption? Power consumption was muchly taken up by the industrial sector. So you can see that more than 50% of the power has been utilized, consumed by the industrial peoples, industrial sectors. Then later, next comes the transportation. Transportation comes from air, water, as well as sea. So in put together 22%. Then comes the residential users, domestic users, you and me. Then comes the agriculture and the others. So these are all the energy wide split up has been taken into account for power consumptions. This is on one end. And what the report says by MNRE, next slide please. Whatever there is a growth, whatever there is a findings, or whatever there is a generation, there is a energy demand. So you can see that last but second, in your right hand side, India is in the second place. So day by day, the power demand is being increasing. And what they say is that water, but power, both are meeting the energy demand. Water as well as the power are meeting the demand. By 2035, there will be a vast scarcity of water as well as scarcity of power. Friends, you can now see there that in South Africa, the water depletion has started. No one knows it. South Africa, the depletion of water started. And why not around another 25 years, it will turn back to India. So we have to think on that. So since you are young-minded peoples, innovative thoughts will be flowing on you. Innovative ideas will be rotating in your mind. So take it into account. Just think over it and act over it. Next slide, please. So what is the major cause being affected? The major cause was carbon dioxide emission. So within a single word, carbon dioxide emission creates pollution. That is not the thing. Because of emission of carbon dioxide, what is happening? See there, climate change occurs. The sea level. So you can see there, the sea level, the ice cubes, the icebergs melts without our knowledge. We don't know what is happening there. But in the Arctic Ocean, it is getting melted day by day. We don't know that. Then the third one, uneven rainfall. So you can see now the total climate has been changed. So பார்த்தீங்கன்னா உங்க மே மாசம்னாலே லீவ் விட்டுருவாங்க ஸ்கூல்ஸ்ல. எதனால? சன் அதிகமா இருக்கும், சூரிய சக்தி வெப்பம் அதிகமா இருக்கும்ன்றதுனால லீவ் விடுவாங்க. Why they are leaving holidays for you? Because it affects the health of the kids more. So அதனால லீவ் விடுறாங்க. ஆனா இப்பெல்லாம் அப்படி கிடையாது. பாருங்க, சீசனல் சேஞ்சஸ் has been changing. திடீர்னு காலைல பாத்தீங்கன்னா மழை வருது, மதியானம் பாத்தீங்கன்னா வெயில் அடிக்குது, சாயங்காலம் பாத்தீங்கன்னா பனி பெய்யுது. Why? Because who is responsible? Who created it? Only we. ஆனா நாம வச்சுக்கோங்க, நீங்க செய்யற ஒவ்வொரு விஷயமும் பாதிக்குது. நேரா இல்ல, கண்ணுக்கு தெரியாம. இப்ப ஏற்படாது. It takes some time. The depletion takes some time. The eradication takes some time. The pollution takes some time. But definitely it will do it. And the fourth one, oxygen depletion. பாத்தீங்கன்னா இந்த கொரோனா டைமுக்கு முன்னாடி டெல்லி is famous for pollution, air pollution. That too. So why it has been happening? How it has happened? Who is the creator? Only we, not others. And at last the water resources depletion. So water resources தான் நான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வச்சிருக்கணும். ஏன் லாஸ்ட்ல வச்சேன்னா, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வரக்கூடியது நம்ம உயிர் வாழ வேண்டிய தகுதியை ஏற்படுத்தக்கூடியது. If you are living, a man can live without water for 3 days. Whereas you cannot live without your breath more than 5 minutes. You can go for ventilators, whatever it is, ventilators or whatever reason, technologies. But thing is that உங்களுக்கு pure oxygen வேணும்னா 5 minutes இல்லைன்னா முடிஞ்சு போச்சு உங்க கதை. So that's why I placed in the first climatic changes. So you can see that the pollution being created on your right hand side, the bus which pollutes the environment. ஒண்ணும் கிடையாது. அவங்க they have to go for some awareness. Awareness இருக்கணும். Awareness யார் கிரியேட் பண்றது? Only you and me. The next slide please. So in the corona timeல பாத்தீங்கன்னா, the COVID timeல, so there was a survey done by the Delhi CPCB reported that 46% was reduced in PM. 2.5 level, 50% reduction in PM10. அதாவது அந்த PM 2.5 அந்த PM10 அப்படிலாம் என்ன சொல்றான்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, particulate mattersங்க அதெல்லாம். So நம்ம பாண்டிச்சேரியில பாத்தீங்கன்னா, near ரெட்டியார் பாளையம் you have a pollution chart which shows that today what is the methane emission, today what is the carbon dioxide emission சொல்லிட்டு கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் இந்தியால வெளியே வச்சிருக்காங்க போர்டு. என்னைக்காச்சும் நம்ம பார்த்தது உண்டா? இல்ல. You are not aware about it. Just see it. What is actually happening? இதெல்லாம் கண்ணுக்கு தெரியாம நடக்கக்கூடிய விஷயங்கள். So 2.5 in the sense carbon monoxide, PM10 in the sense it comes for nitrogen, phosphorus. Kindly correct me if I am wrong. So இந்த ரெண்டும் தான் ரொம்ப முக்கியமானது. So அதுவே பாத்தீங்கன்னா இந்த கொரோனா டைம்ல ரெடியூஸ் ஆயிருக்கு. எதனால ரெடியூஸ் ஆயிருக்கு? Less amount of industrial utilization, less amount of transportation, less amount of usage of unwanted things. Unwanted things na enna? Cinema போறீங்க, சினிமா பாக்குறீங்க. There comes the pollutions. We don't know. அங்க போறதுனால என்ன சார் பொல்யூட் ஆக போகுது? You may be thinking like that, but bring the awareness, create the awareness. வெளியே போறீங்க, பாப்கார்ன் சாப்பிடுறீங்க, தூக்கி போடுறீங்க. சினிமாக்கு போறீங்க, கோக் குடிக்கிறீங்க, where you throw the bottles. டஸ்ட்பின் இருக்கும், ஆனா நம்ம ஆளுங்க என்ன பண்றீங்க? தூக்கி வெளியே தான் போட்டு போறீங்க. அதெல்லாம் நம்மள சொல்லி தப்பு இல்லை. I'm not blaming you. I'm just making you to be alert, aware. What is actually happening? அந்த வீடியோ பாத்தீங்களா? Just for உங்களுக்கு போர் அடிச்சிருக்கும். I know that. நம்ம 8 நிமிஷம் போறோம்னு நான் நினைச்சேன். But thing is that each and every part, each and every second in that video values a lot. So தெரிஞ்சுக்கோங்க what is actually happening there. So இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ரிப்போர்ட் நம்மளுக்கு கொடுத்திருக்காங்க during the time of COVID. Next slide please. And இந்த மார்ச் மாசம் பாத்தீங்கன்னா 18 to 26 நம்ம southern regionல 15, 10, 14, 21, 23% of energy consumptions. Energy consumption reduced during the lockdown, which was this was the thing highlighted by Power System Operation Corporation. I have took it from there. But all over India, parangla, there was a drastic change. Who is responsible? We are responsible. Next slide, please. And one of the report shows, NASA satellite in the காமிச்சிருக்குங்க, 2016, the first chart, there was n number of pollutions. Sir, முன்னாடி slide போங்களேன் கொஞ்சம். So you can see that northern region, western region, northeastern region. Next slide, please. So northeastern region, northwestern region, northern region. So பாத்தீங்கன்னா ரொம்ப கருப்பா இருந்திருக்கும். What is that? Pollutions. So 2016, it is in the left-hand side top corner. 2020, the corona time period. 2019 to 20, கீழே இருக்கக்கூடிய 3 chart பாருங்களேன். Slowly the pollution got subsided. By 2020 பாத்தீங்கன்னா அங்கங்க மட்டும் தான் இருந்திருக்கும். Why? Because few companies are running. So ரன் பண்ணதான் நம்ம செய்ய முடியும், வேற வழி கிடையாது. But even then, in order to get satisfied, நம்மளோட daily needs சரி பண்றதுக்கு 2020 ஓட மேப் பாருங்களேன். அந்த பொல்யூஷன் இருந்தா மட்டும் போதும். Only less amount of pollutions that will do. But all the things are been our need. What are the needs? எல்லாமே வந்து fulfill ஆயிருச்சு. Is it clear? Next slide, please. So what has been done? Energy sector side, energy side பார்த்துப்பாங்க. But what you can do, what we can do, அப்படின்றத Energy Conservation Act, as per highlighted by our senior scientific officer while he is delivering his keynote speech, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, who is playing the vital role for conserving energy. They say that energy is life. Yes, energy is life. Energy is your breath. Energy is everything. So they brought about a Energy Conservation Act in 2001. They released in 1st March 2002. Next slide, please. So government has passed an act, bill in 2001. What does bill, and the bill indicate பண்ணது அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, it's energy auditing conducted by an energy auditor. I'll tell you what is energy auditing in the next coming slides. So Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So what they take care of? They take care of consumption as well. They give star ratings to each and every appliances used in household as well as day-to-day life. So on the star rating என்னன்றதை நான் next வரக்கூடிய ஸ்லைட்ஸ்ல எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணி சொல்றேன் உங்களுக்கு. So they give the star rating. So 5 star, 4 star நீங்க பார்த்திருப்பீங்க. உங்களுடைய fridge, refrigerators, air conditioners, even motors, வீட்ல யூஸ் பண்ணக்கூடிய மோட்டார், வீட்ல யூஸ் பண்ணக்கூடிய கெய்சர், வீட்ல யூஸ் பண்ணக்கூடிய heaters, coolers. So everything are now been labeled with star ratings. இது நம்மளுக்கு வேணா புதுசா இருக்கலாங்க. But this star rating has been established in 1960. In Russia, the first thing, 1960 they established பண்ணாங்க. நம்ம நாட்டுக்கு இது புதுசு. But from 1960 they are following up. In 2000 Australia took it into account and later on we started it. So they are utilizing the energy efficient. அதனால தான் அங்க pollution கம்மி. இங்க pollution அதிகம். யார் அதை கொண்டு போறது? நம்ம தான். We have to insist on. Government is going on giving some initiations. A lot of things, subsidies are given by government of India. They are initiating it. Next slide, please. So நான் சொன்னேன் இல்லைங்களா, 1960 ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிட்டாங்க. நம்மளுக்கு இது புதுசு, அவங்களுக்குலாம் இது பழசு. They are on road. Not only we are on road, we have to take off. They are taken off. They are utilizing super powers. அங்க எனர்ஜி கன்சப்ஷனுக்கான வழியே கிடையாது. They are utilizing it. So this is what a small history about standards and labeling, star ratings. So Russia was the first, followed with Poland, and at last the major country started it in 2000. Guys, am I audible? Guys, am I audible? Fine. Thank you. Next slide, please. So நான் முதல்ல சொன்னதுதான் பாத்தீங்கன்னா, இதுல ஸ்டார் ரேட்டிங் போட்டிருப்பாங்க. அதை போய் முதல்ல பாருங்க, அது என்னன்றதை தெரிஞ்சுக்கோங்க. வாங்க வேண்டாம், முதல்ல அதை பார்த்து தெரிஞ்சுக்கோங்க, 4 பேருக்கு சொல்லுங்க. Later you can purchase it. Before you have to give awareness. ஒரு பொருளை வாங்க போனா முதல்ல ஒரு அவேர்னஸ் வேணும். ஒரு சினிமா படம் பாக்குறீங்க, ஸ்டார் லைக்ஸ் போடுறீங்க. ஸோ ஒரு கிளாத் மெட்டீரியல் வாங்குறீங்க, யூ கோ ஃபார் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லைக்ஸ், ரிவ்யூஸ். அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் யூ ட்ரை டு பிளான் ஃபார் கெட்டிங் இட். கரெக்டா? வாட் எவர் இட் இஸ், யுவர் காஸ்டியூம்ஸ் ஆர் டெய்லி யூசேஜ் திங்ஸ், வாட் எவர் இட் இஸ், யூ கோ ஃபார் த ஸ்டார் ரேட்டிங்ஸ். அதே மாதிரி தாங்க நீங்களும் உங்க ஆடைக்கு கொடுக்கக்கூடிய முக்கியத்துவத்தை உங்க உடம்புக்கும் உங்களை சுத்தி இருக்கிறதுக்கும் கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா, that is called energy conservation. Simple concept. Clear? So you go for that. See to the energy rating. See to the stars. What actually it is. Next slide, please. So பாத்தீங்கன்னா India last இருக்கு பாருங்க, 612, which means that India is developing now. So the world average energy consumptions. So this is what the chart shows. So consumption of electricity. So 612 by India, whereas 8,365 by other countries. These are the consumption of electricity. Next slide. Power consumption and CO2 emission. First சொன்னோம் இல்லைங்களா, CO2 emission சின்ன ஒரு லேம்ப்ல இருந்து ஸ்டார்ட் ஆகுதுங்க. பஸ்ல இருந்து வெளியே வர புகை தான் அப்படின்னு கிடையாது. Is it clear? உங்க 2 வீலர்ல வரக்கூடிய புகை தான் அப்படின்றது கிடையாது. So it starts with a simple. If you replace the incandescent with a compact fluorescent lamp, and nowadays LED has come into market. So you can see that the carbon CO2 emission is 65 per hour. Whereas if you use a same compact fluorescent lamp, which is a 15 watts, which gives the same illumination to you, to your home, emits only 16. Okay, so go with some energy efficient equipments. Next slide. So this chart clearly shows you incandescent lamp 40 watts வாங்குறதுக்கும் ஒரு LED 6 watts வாங்குறதுக்கும் என்ன டிஃபரன்ஸ் சார்? both provides the same illumination, but cost wise it is different. Only thing is cost wise different, nothing else. அதே மாதிரி பாருங்க. So if you purchase an LED 6 watts LED, it's enough rather than going for an incandescent watts. So many countries they have stopped manufacturing incandescent watts. So this is what the slide shows. Next slide please. Australian label of air conditioner. பாருங்க அவங்க ஊர்ல நம்ம ஊர்ல 5 star rating தான். அவங்க ஊர்ல பாருங்க 6 star வச்சிருக்காங்க. No. Previously recently 10 stars கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. So heating க்கு தனியா, cooling க்கு தனியா. If you buy air cooler that is different. If you buy a heater that is different. So I'll mention பண்ணிருக்காங்க பாருங்க cooling purpose and heating purpose. In your left hand side cooling and on your right hand side it is heating. So you can see that. So they give star ratings. They give star ratings as well as energy consumption is clearly mentioned there. And now they have improved it. Next slide. This is the older one with the 10 stars, newer one. இப்படிதான் அவங்க லேபிளே கொடுக்குறாங்க. So energy consumption எப்படி இருக்கும் per unit எப்படி அப்படின்னு. So இந்த energy consumption எப்படி பார்ப்பாங்க அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கானது தான். ஒரு அப்ளையன்சஸ் ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு எவ்வளவு எனர்ஜி கன்சம் பண்ணுதோ அதை பொறுத்து தான் ஸ்டார் ரேட்டிங். They are providing the star rating. So who is providing the star rating here in India? BWE. Bureau of Energy Efficiency is providing the star rating for us. How do they provide? They have labs. A number of labs are there. They test the appliances and then they provide the star rating. You should be aware that உங்களுக்கு நம்ப மாட்டீங்க, Samsung who provided an appliances got rejected under star rating. Next slide please. So this is what Indian star rating. So இதுல பாத்தீங்கன்னா highlight பண்ணிருப்பாங்க. Indian star rating, the old star rating was been given energy efficiency 2.59. அது கீழ பாத்தீங்கன்னா it has been mentioned EER, double ER. What does it represent? It represents energy efficient ratio. முன்னாடிலாம் அதான் கொடுத்தாங்க star rating given by BWE. And what is the improvement done here? Same energy efficiency, ISER, Indian seasonal energy efficient rating. So they went for seasonal ratings. Why? Because for example if you take an AC வந்து வெயில் காலத்துல ஒரு மாதிரி ஓடும் கம்ப்ரஸர், மழை காலத்துல வேற மாதிரி ஓடுங்க கம்ப்ரஸர். So whatever it is, whenever the compressor starts to run, it takes plenty of energy. It requires more amount of current to start. Then later on, depending upon the environment, depending upon the outer environmental temperature, the compressor runs. So normally when you see that when you go for energy efficient ratio, அப்பலாம் என்ன பண்ணிட்டாங்கன்னா energy efficient ratio na compressor run ஆகும், அதுக்கான current எவ்வளவு இழுக்குது. So based on that they give the star rating. But now recent development has been done. So inverter based AC அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, inverter based refrigerators அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. So what does it they do? Current off ஆனா ஓடுறது அது கிடையாதுங்க. So inverter based what they do is they keep the compressor or they keep the motors, they keep the machines in a constant and stable manner so that they won't utilize much amount of power during the starting time as well as during the running time, and most importantly during the climatic change taking place in the outer atmosphere. So that is why that is the improvement done between the old label as well as the new label. So ERR is the energy efficient ratio, whereas ISER represents Indian seasonal energy efficient ratio. Next slide please. So this is apart from this, இப்போ உங்க லேப்டாப்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு symbol, the first symbol you might be familiar, energy அப்படின்னு ஒரு symbol வச்சு ஒரு ஸ்டிக்கர் ஒட்டிருப்பாங்க. If you purchase a laptop, what does it mean na? Further labeling, further endorsement is not needed அப்படின்றது அர்த்தம். Next slide please. This is eco label, eco pollution control மெயினா யூஸ் பண்ணக்கூடிய லேபிள்ஸ் இது. So when they are pertaining to this, when they are pretending to deliver this energy label, which is most importantly used for vehicle pollution used by pollution control bureau of board of studies, என்ன அந்த லேபிள் யூஸ் பண்றாங்க அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, if they stick this label, which means that no further need of going for any kind of testing, this equipment or this vehicle is being qualified for running on the road அப்படின்றது அர்த்தம். Next, labeling. And one more thing, BSVI, இதெல்லாம் கேள்விப்பட்டிருப்பீங்க. As a mechanical student or an electrical student, you might be aware about this BSVI. So as planned, it should be implemented by 2019. So corona நால delay ஆயிருச்சு. So hereafter we will be going for BS6. And I have mentioned a tabular column where you have norms, NO2 limit, nitrogen dioxide limit. Before that we were going with BS5 and now we are switching over to BS6. BS6 என்ன சொல்லுதுன்னா 80. So the NO2 emissions is being reduced. So this is also an initiative by Government of India. So by 2019 and we are entering into 2020 to implement this BSV. Next. So when was this label has been launched? So 2016 by 18th May, the energy labeling program was launched in New Delhi. Okay. So next slide, please. Standard organizations in India. So who can give the labeling? யாரு வந்து இதை வந்து authority அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா first one is the ISI, Bureau of Indian Standards. So they started with, but who is the finalizer and giving the, who is the authority provider, who is the grant owner அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா Bureau of Energy Efficiency plays the vital role. Next one, next slide. So who is Bureau of Energy Efficiency? யாரு? He is the one who watches up all the things, what is happening in energy sector, who is consuming more amount of power. Also the organization, even the organization, the BWE as quoted by a senior scientific officer in the keynote speech, they are organizing many slogan competitions, many awareness programs, not only for the children, for also to the industrial employees in order to be aware about energy auditing. Next slide, please. Star rating. So as I told you in the previous slides, India has stars from 1 to 5. Whereas Australia has stars from 1 to 10, as you saw in the previous slide. So till we have to go far. 5 is not a limit. We have to reach 10. So for that, what we have to do? We have to work a lot. We have to come with some innovations, come with some innovative techniques in order to run the system in a smoother manner without depleting the natural resources. Next part. So this small slide, as I told you earlier, what are all the equipments has been given star rating. So starting from the motor, ending with the transformer. So everything has been labeled with star rating. Next slide, please. So here is a small consumption. Electricity consumption, 680, 580, 466. You can see that above, if it is a 680, 2-star has been given, energy consumption 3 and 4. And one more thing you have to note it down here is that electricity consumption அப்படின்னு கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. And in the previous, if you purchase an AC, it will not be an electricity consumption, it will be the energy efficiency. So you can, sir, கொஞ்சம் previous slide போங்களேன், ஃபாஸ்டா போங்களேன், இன்னும் போங்க சார், இன்னும் போங்க, fast, stop, next slide, next, hold on. So இதுல பாத்தீங்கன்னா energy efficiency ன்னு இருக்கும். So if it is an AC, you will be having energy efficiency label. Is it clear? Next slide, please. Next. And if you go for refrigerator, stop. Back. Previous slide. If you go for refrigerator, fridge வாங்குனீங்கன்னா, it will be electricity consumption. ஏன் சார் ரெண்டுத்துக்கும் என்ன சார் டிஃபரன்ஸ் அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, electricity consumption ஏன் வச்சிருக்காங்கன்னா, you can see that the fridge is running 24/7. Is it clear? So 1 hour ஓடிச்சுன்னா எவ்வளவு எடுத்துச்சுன்னு தெரிஞ்சிடும். அதனால தான் electricity consumption கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. Whereas AC, it depends upon the outer environment. Both the summer daysல எப்படி இருக்கும், winter daysல எப்படி இருக்கும், autumnல எப்படி இருக்கும். So depending upon what happens, there is a changes occurring. So அதனால தான் energy efficiency calculate பண்றாங்க. So this you have to be very conscious. So electricity consumption வீட்டுக்குள்ள இருக்கக்கூடிய fridge 1 hour ஓடிச்சுன்னா எவ்வளவு எலக்ட்ரிசிட்டி கன்சியூம் பண்ணுது நம்மளுக்கு தெரிஞ்சிடும். அதனால தான் எலக்ட்ரிசிட்டி கன்சம்ஷன் per unit year வச்சு கால்குலேட் பண்றாங்க, specifically for fridges, I mean the refrigerators. Next slide, please. And these are all the star rating. So ஒரு star ratingனா refrigerator oda cost பாருங்களேன், it comes around 15,000. So if you buy 18,500, 5-star rating, it is more efficient and payback பாருங்களேன் 2.57 per year. இதெல்லாம் 2.5 years வந்து அதே மாதிரி ஒரு யூனிட்டோட ரேட்டிங் வந்து 2.50. எலக்ட்ரிசிட்டி காஸ்ட் பாத்தீங்கன்னா 1000 rupees தான் வரும் 5-star ரேட்டிங்கா இருந்துச்சுன்னா. பட் whereas if it is a single star rating, it is 2,443 amount நீங்க கட்டுற மாதிரி வந்து பாருங்க. So what is the total saving also I have mentioned here. If you go for 5-star rating, the total saving is 1,750 per year. பாத்துக்கோங்க. So அதனால இப்ப பாத்தீங்கன்னா when you go for a market to purchase either a fridge, they may say that if you buy a 2-star rating, we'll be providing a tiffin box as a gift, or we'll be providing a 1-liter cooker. So don't go for those free, which means that you are getting depleted, which means that you are wasting the energy, which means that you are exploiting the nature resources. ஸோ அந்த ஓசியை நினைச்சு பின்னாடி போயிடாதீங்க. அந்த ஓசி ஒரு தடவை தான் யூஸ் ஆகும். பட் திங்க் அபவுட் இட், இட் ஷுட் பி ஃபார் யோர் டில் யோர் லைஃப் எண்ட். ஸோ அதை யோசிச்சுக்கிட்டு நீங்க அதிகமா இருந்தாலும் யூ கோ ஃபார் 5-star ரேட்டட் அப்ளையன்சஸ் டு பி யூஸ்ட் ஃபார் யோர் ஹவுஸ் ஹோல்ட்ஸ். இஸ் இட் கிளியர் நவ்? நெக்ஸ்ட் ஸ்லைட் ப்ளீஸ். This is a small calculation highlighting that. So for example, for a 250-liter frost fridge refrigerator, if the cost per unit is 2.5, என்ன போட்டிருக்கேன்னு பார்த்துக்கோங்க. சேவிங்ஸ் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 1750, and the actual unit used will be 400 units. But actually நீங்க பார்த்தீங்கன்னா it will be more compared to the 0-star rating refrigerators. Next slide please. And apart from this, அந்த refrigerator வாங்குறது இது ஒரு பக்கம் இருந்தாலும், one more thing you have to be kept in mind is the refrigerator உள்ள gas இருக்கும். So what kind of gas we are utilizing as well as the manufacturers are making it into account is R22, which causes medium depletion to the ozone layer. Is it clear? But other countries started utilizing R600A, and now a few manufacturers are concentrating on R600A, which is non-inflammable. Is it clear? So this plays the vital role in global warming potential. So you have to look over it. Each and every part, அதான் முதல்ல சொன்னேன், each and every part, each and every step should be kept very carefully in order to go for energy conservation. Next slide, please. And this is the parts which is marked here, which indicates what are the things being available in the label. So in the label, என்னென்ன part எதெல்லாம் வந்து மென்ஷன் பண்ணுதுன்றது தான் இந்த ஸ்லைடு ரெப்ரசென்ட் பண்ணுது. Okay, next slide, please. So power saving, as I told you earlier, energy saving 2.84 EER. That is the older rating. So I have mentioned with this cooling capacity and power consumption. What does it mean? So உங்களுக்கு எப்படி தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும் அப்படின்னா, ஒரு மார்க்கெட்டுக்கு போறீங்க, if you are purchasing this energy efficient appliances, in the sense you just cooling capacity as well as power consumption. That is output divided by input gives you the efficiency. Here the output will be 1813 and the input will be 5150. If you divide it, you will be getting a particular value. So that gives you the energy efficient, and the label போட்டிருக்க value உங்களுக்கு கிடைச்சிரும். So that is the input divided by output gives you the efficiency of that particular appliance. So depending on the efficiency, you can calculate the total cost, and then you can purchase the good appliances that for your requirement. Next slide, please. Star labeled froster field, and these are all the labels and the brand X, Y, Z, whatever it is. So you can see that storage volume as well as the gross value. Next slide, please. And this is for AC, star rating AC. Next slide, please. And for the color television, even for purchasing television, you can go for annual energy consumption. Next slide, please. And if you want to check what is actually needed for you, BWE has an apps in order to know the energy used by each and every appliances. So when you plot this, you can able to get the correct value and you can utilize it for purchasing it. Next slide, please. And the test laboratories, as I told you earlier, these are all the laboratories present in order to check the appliances and to give the rating for each and every appliances manufactured by the manufacturers. Next slide, please. As I told you earlier, these 3 companies has got rejection for their product due to they did not come under the star rating, which means that they doesn't meet the specification. Next slide, please. So here's a small quote. Here in year 1900, we started with a candle, later moved over to the incandescent lamp, and now we in the age of compact fluorescent lamps, and presently we go for LEDs. But if you are not utilizing it in proper manner, get back. இதுதாங்க சைக்கிள். இதை திருப்பி உங்களுக்கு கேண்டில் தான் வேணுமா இல்ல உங்களுக்கு அந்த எல்இடி வேணுமான்றத முடிவு பண்றது நம்ம கையில தான் இருக்குது. So let's start working good. Next slide, please. So what is the major calling for this attention for this energy conservation? Only the 3 points as I told you earlier: forest, then wildlife, and then the water resources. Next slide. So as a responsible citizen, you have to concentrate on all these things: soil, water, biodiversity, that is the plastic pollution, and the forest, defaming of the forest. Soil in the sense making the unfertile land to a fertile land. You have to go into it and then make it a fertile land so that we can able to prevent the soil erosions. And coming to water, you have to save water without unnecessary usage of it. And next slide. Next. The water. So how to save water? Main thing is, as for the government initiative, rainwater harvesting plays a vital role. இப்போ உங்களுக்கு தெரியாது, after 10 to 20 years, you can able to feel the essence of that water. So if you want to feel the essence of the water, start saving it. If you want to get depleted out of it, and if you want to go to hospital with your earned money, just use it as you want. Next slide, please. So இப்படிதான் நம்ம ஊர்ல water waste ஆயிட்டு இருக்குது. So you have to prevent it. Go for electronic equipments. So for example, a water tank is there. So after the overhead tanks get filled up, the motor should be turned off. So there are recent technologies and innovations have come up. So use it, utilize it. Next slide. So this is what happening there. So we have to eradicate these kind of things happening in the nature. Next. So these are all the laws as well as the government GOs put forth in order to protect the forest, protect the environment, protect the water. Next slide. I want to tell about this couple. So they are living in a village. So where they wanted the industrialists want to cut a big banyan tree which was more than 50 years, and these two peoples came against out of this, and because of that, the vendors as well as the contractors went out of it. So it was created a great impact in India. Next slide, please. Next slide. The next low poison is e-waste. So I want to highlight here. You can see the report was given here. India stands in order to import 50,000 tons of e-waste in 2011. So what happened? India is dumping the e-waste. So we have to act upon it in order to eradicate the dumping of e-waste. Next slide, please. So these are all the things being done as an e-waste. இது ஒரு பக்கங்க. So conservation ஒரு பக்கம் இருந்தாலும் இது எல்லாத்தையும் நம்ம eradicate பண்ணாதான் we can able to conserve it. So பாருங்களேன், you can see that only 5% is being recycled in the e-waste. What about the remaining 95%? So these are all the survey taken in Pondicherry. So what are all the centers available? So it's one of our project done by the students in order to find out what is actually happening for the e-waste. Next slide, please. So since it is time constrained, I have to rush up with the slides. Please pardon me. Next slide, please. Next. So these are all the major centers who handle the e-waste. They are not handling it in 100%. As I told you earlier, only 5% has been handled. Only they are removing the gold, they are removing the carbonate, as well as they are removing the gelatins present there in order to sell it to the markets. Other things, they are again dumping it. Next. And these are all the resources where the e-waste comes from. Particularly 90% comes from IT source. And the last from the monitoring and the control instruments. Next. So what is the wastage generated per person per year? பாருங்களேன், ஒரு ஆளு எவ்வளவு வேஸ்ட் ஜெனரேட் பண்றான் per person per day ஒரு நாளைக்கு. அதுல இந்தியா ஸ்டாண்ட்ஸ் இன் எத்தனாவது பாருங்க, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8th பிளேஸ். ஒரு ஆள் இவ்வளவு வேஸ்ட் ஜெனரேட் பண்றான், நம்மளுக்கே தெரியல, பட் we are generating it. So be aware about it. Next slide. மொபைல் யூசர்ஸ் பாத்தீங்கன்னா ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்குது, ஒரு பக்கம் ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா இருக்குது. ஸோ 2001ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா 310 million. இங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா it vanished into billion. Next to China, we are there. Only in the usage of mobile, not in innovations. We have to innovate. Government are providing a number of funds, a number of subsidies, a number of new platforms. They are creating it. We have to utilize it. We are not utilizing it. Next part. Why shouldn't we care for? Only for less it costs to run, as well as lower your utility bills. Only thing. You and we are எதுக்கு நம்ம கஷ்டப்படுறோம்? You and we are struggling a lot. எதுக்கு? அந்த ரெண்டே விஷயம் தான். பீஸ்ஃபுல்லான லைஃப், அதே மாதிரி எலக்ட்ரிசிட்டி பில்லு கம்மியாகணும். இது ரெண்டு தாங்க முக்கியமான விஷயம். நெக்ஸ்ட், எனர்ஜி கன்சர்வேஷன், எனர்ஜி எஃபிஷியன்சி. எனர்ஜி எஃபிஷியன்சி வேறங்க, அதே மாதிரி எனர்ஜி கன்சர்வேஷன் வேற. இது ரெண்டு மட்டும் தான். எனர்ஜி, வாட் டஸ் எனர்ஜி கன்சர்வேஷன்? இட் இன்வால்வ்ஸ் லெஸ் எனர்ஜி. by adjusting your behavior and habits. அதுதான் energy conservation. What is efficiency? How far you are utilizing it. There comes the energy efficiency. Next slide, please. Challenging efforts. பாருங்களேன் 1.1 billion inhabited, 17% of world population do not have access to electricity till now. நம்ம தான் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கோம். But as per IRENA report, 2.1% in India, more than twice ரேட்டுங்க. Global energy demand rose. Increase ஆயிட்டு இருக்குது. Next slide. So if it goes like this, 80 billion people, keep it in your mind, 80 billion people will not have access to electricity. Next slide. Next slide. So they are moving towards alternative source of fuel cells. Next slide. Next. Next. So hydrogen playing a vital role. Next slide, please. So பாத்தீங்கன்னா, now they are switching over to hydrogen source. Hydrogen resource use பண்ணிக்கிறாங்க with the help of oxygen. And then they are utilizing as water to generate electricity as well as to run cars. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. So this is what the recent innovation. Toyota has innovated a car which runs with fuel cell, which runs with battery as well H2 hydrogen tank இருக்கும். They capture the oxygen from the outer atmosphere and run the vehicle. And whenever the vehicle needs more amount of electricity, those electricity comes from the battery. So both in combination, they have kept it in the form of a compact car. Next slide. Video next slide. Next. So this will be the before slide ponga. So this will be the next recent technology. Hydrogen உள்ள வந்து சிலிண்டர் இருக்கும். So with the help of outer oxygen என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, so hydrogen plus oxygen with water as well battery, they will be operating the vehicle. Next slide. Next slide. So these are all the countries who put forth for zero emission. They have started working on it. So Iceland started working on it to design bus. Next. Then fuel cell by Exeno and Rolls-Royce is also working on it. Hyundai is also coming into picture. BMW has also started working on it. Next slide. Germany is also working for bullet trains and airspace. Next. Next. Switzerland, US. Next. And India. So they have started working on e-bike, battery operated bikes, battery operated autos, rickshaws and nano cars. So these are all the things being done. Researches are going on. So this is taken from Banaras Hindu University, India. So Hydrogen Energy Center, they are working on it. Next slide. So recycling, climate change and green energy. Your waste makes a difference. So this is one of the company in North America who is taking care of all the e-waste. They are collecting the e-waste, recycling it and coming with some energy, electricity generation. Next, 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 next. Wait. Fine. So what as a responsible citizen, what we can do to conserve energy? என்ன பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, நெக்ஸ்ட் ஸ்லைட். முக்கியமான விஷயம் முதல்ல சொன்னதுதான், வீட்ல உங்களால என்ன செய்ய முடியுமோ you do it while brushing the teeth, switch off the tap. This is the first thing. இதை ஒண்ணு செய்யுங்க. குளிக்கும் போது இஷ்டத்துக்கு don't use shower unless otherwise it is necessary. Else go for a bucket of water. Have a good shower with the help of water in a bucket. And watering the plants. ஓசை திறந்து விட்டு you don't feed the plants with water. Rather go for hosed containers. Okay, next slide. So these are all the resources I used in order to prepare these presentations. Next slide. So thank you for your patient listening and very sorry I have in between I have just rushed up. If time permits, I'll just again go with some deep in-depth knowledge about the present scenarios occurring in energy conservation. And I wind up with this quote: energy conservation is the foundation of energy independence, which was told by John Allen. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tyagarajan, sir, for a very detailed and effective presentation on energy conservation, efficiency, challenges, threats, alternative energy sources, and future technologies. I request the participants to pose any questions to the resource person and get clarifications, please. Any questions, please? Any questions, please? Okay, now it's time for extending vote of thanks. I request my colleague, Mr. Satish Kumar, to extend the vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Today we are celebrating the National Energy Conservation Day and to encourage the people how to reduce the energy consumption efficiently. On behalf of Secretary cum Chairman, Puducherry Council for Science and Technology, I thank our resource person, Dr. Y. Tyagarajan, R&D Head cum Associate Professor, Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Christ College of Engineering and Technology, Puducherry, for delivering a wonderful lecture on energy conservation, the need of the hour. I would like to thank our member secretary, senior scientific officer, who are behind the webinar for making it a great success. I would like to thank all the participants for taking the time to be here today and for listening to the whole session of the webinar. And I hope this webinar is very useful to all the participants to know about the importance of National Energy Conservation Day celebration. Further, I kindly request all the participants to fill the feedback form for getting each certificate. Thank you. Jai Hind.